Welcome back to Dreamy Train Tales. Thank you for joining me tonight. Now let's settle down and begin our journey together. If this brings you peace, please like and subscribe so we can explore more historic railways together, but only if it truly helps you unwind. And if you'd like, please share in the comments where you're listening from and what time of day it is for you right now. If you genuinely appreciate these journeys, you can support my channel by buying me a coffee through the link in the description. Every coffee helps me improve and create even more relaxing adventures for you. Thank you so much for your support. Tonight, you find yourself standing on the quiet platform of Perm station, wrapped in the cool stillness of early autumn. A soft mist rises from the nearby Kama River, drifting slowly across the tracks as the morning light begins its gentle climb over the horizon. The iron arches of the station roof stretch overhead in calm symmetry, their metal surfaces touched with beads of dew that glimmer faintly in the pale dawn. Everything feels hushed and unhurried, as though the world has paused for this quiet moment before the day begins. The air carries the scents of damp earth, river fog, and faint coal smoke from the waiting locomotive. You breathe in slowly, letting the cool air settle into your chest. Before we begin this journey together, take a moment to settle in wherever you are. Let your shoulders lower with a soft exhale. Loosen your jaw and let your breath become smooth and steady. Feel the gentle rhythm of this historic railway begin to carry you toward rest. The Trans-Siberian Railway stretches across an entire continent, and here, in the early 1900s, this station in Perm was already a major gateway toward the distant east. As you stand on the platform, you sense the depth of history behind these tracks. Workers in heavy wool coats move quietly along the train, checking couplings, lifting crates, and speaking in low voices that blend into the mist. Their movements are deliberate, calm, and practiced, creating a subtle rhythm that matches the slow awakening of the morning. You look toward the locomotive at the head of the train, its dark metal form glistening with droplets of mist. A gentle plume of steam rises upward, curling in soft shapes that disperse into the cool air. The warm glow of the firebox flickers softly inside, casting a faint orange shimmer along the rails below. The engine breathes in calm bursts, each puff steady and grounding, a reminder of the long journey that lies ahead. The carriages behind the locomotive are painted in deep forest green, their windows edged with polished brass that catches the dim light. Wooden nameplates display the route, and the familiar Cyrillic lettering feels reassuring in its presence. You step closer to your carriage door, noticing the smooth grain of the varnished wood and the gentle creak as you open it. The doorway welcomes you with warmth, offering a space touched by oil lamps and soft upholstery. You step aboard and feel the slight sway of the cabin floor beneath your feet. The interior is cozy, lined with polished wood and cushioned benches covered in rich, dark fabric. A brass lamp glows from the wall, casting soft golden light across the seating and highlighting the gentle curves of the carriage frames. The calm warmth inside contrasts with the cool river air outside, inviting you to settle deeply into the comfort of the journey. You take your seat by the window, the glass cool beneath your fingertips. Outside, the platform remains wrapped in mist, shapes moving slowly within it like figures from a quiet dream. A porter walks past your window with a leather satchel, his footsteps muffled by the layer of dew on the wooden planks. He pauses briefly to adjust the strap on his shoulder, then continues his steady pace, disappearing gently back into the pale fog. A soft chime rings along the platform, signaling the approach of departure. The conductor appears, walking confidently down the length of the train. His uniform is neat and formal, the brass buttons polished to a warm shine. He pauses beside each carriage door to check on the passengers before offering a final nod. When he reaches your carriage, he lifts a small lantern, its glow reflected faintly in the mist, and gives a gentle signal to the engineer. A moment later, the locomotive releases a slow breath of steam, and the train begins to stir beneath you. The first movement is delicate, a small shift of weight that encourages your body to lean back comfortably into the seat. The wheels roll forward with a soft metallic sigh, and the platform begins to drift slowly past your window in a calm, unhurried glide. The rail beneath you produces a quiet, rhythmic clicking, a steady sound that already begins to weave its way into your breathing. Perm station fades gradually into the mist as the train slips away from the platform. The outlines of buildings blur into soft shapes, their forms dissolving gently into the pale river fog. You watch as the station lamps stretch into long lines of golden reflection on the damp rail, each one drifting past before disappearing into the growing distance. The movement feels effortless, as though the train is gliding more than rolling. The scenery beyond the station opens slowly into view. The Kama River spreads wide beside the tracks, its surface calm and silvery in the morning light. The mist hovers above the water in delicate layers, drifting upward in slow curls that seem to breathe with the land itself. Wooden barges sit moored near the riverbank, barely visible through the haze, their silhouettes quiet and unmoving in the stillness of dawn. Autumn trees line the river's edge, their leaves touched with gold and pale amber. Birch trunks rise through the mist, their white bark glowing softly against the muted colors. The early season has only begun to change the landscape, so the hues are gentle rather than intense, a blend of soft greens, warm yellows, and faint copper tones. The scene carries a sense of patient transition, as though summer has just stepped aside. Inside the carriage, the warmth deepens as the train begins its steady climb away from the river valley. The gentle rocking continues, lulling your muscles into deeper relaxation. Your breath becomes slow and quiet, matching the calm rhythm of the wheels. A faint scent of tea drifts from somewhere in the corridor, blending with the soft fragrance of polished wood. Every detail invites you to settle more comfortably, to release the day, and to join the rhythm of early morning travel. The mist thins gradually as the train approaches the first rise of the Ural foothills. Sunlight begins to break through in soft beams, illuminating patches of forest with warm, golden brightness. You feel the light touch your face as it enters the cabin, a comforting warmth that encourages your shoulders to relax even more. The world outside becomes clearer, and the gentle journey unfolds ahead of you with quiet promise. The smooth motion of the train guides you deeper into calm as you leave the river behind and drift toward the rolling hills. The rails hum gently beneath you, a soothing sound that blends with the cool morning air and the rising light. The train settles into its steady rhythm as it leaves the last clusters of buildings behind. You feel the gentle pull as the wheels guide you forward, the soft sway moving through the carriage like a slow breath. Outside the window, early autumn light filters through thin layers of fog that still linger between patches of low grass. The birch forests begin almost immediately, standing tall and pale, their trunks rising in soft silver lines that seem to stretch in every direction. You watch the trees slide past in calm procession, their round leaves trembling in the faint morning wind, glowing faintly with early gold. You rest your hands in your lap, letting the warmth of the carriage settle around you. The fabric of the seat feels soft beneath your fingertips, and the gentle hum beneath your feet reminds you of the engine working patiently at the front of the train. You take a slow, easy breath, feeling the air expand in your chest, then release it, letting your shoulders relax a little more. The rhythm of the ride supports the movement of your breathing, guiding you into an even calmer state as the morning unfolds. The forests open into wide stretches of meadow, dotted with low shrubs already turning towards soft shades of rust and deep green. A line of geese crosses the sky, moving in a loose formation that shifts as the birds catch different currents of air. The train glides past a frozen marsh, its surface holding the soft glow of dawn, the reeds standing like thin golden spears against the pale reflection. The world outside feels cool and quiet, and you feel yourself sinking into that quiet with every moment. A small village appears ahead, its wooden houses grouped close together. The roofs show signs of early frost, thin and sparkling in the morning sun. Smoke curls upward from chimneys, rising slowly before dissolving into the cool air. Children in wool coats walk along a narrow dirt path toward a small schoolhouse, their breath forming faint white clouds that drift behind them. A horse stands tethered near a simple wooden fence, its dark coat shining as it turns its head slowly toward the passing train. As you watch the village slide by, you remember that many of these communities grew alongside the railway when it first expanded eastward in the late 1800s. The arrival of the line changed life in these remote areas, bringing supplies, travelers, and stories from far beyond the forests. You picture early travelers stepping from older steam carriages, greeted by the same crisp autumn air that fills the world outside your window now. The train curves gently to the left, creating a wide view of the landscape. You see the birch trees stretching across rolling hills, their leaves shifting in shimmering waves as wind moves through the branches. The wheels create a soft, repeating pattern, a rhythmic clicking that blends with the low hum of the locomotive. You feel the motion beneath you, steady and dependable, guiding you deeper into the calm flow of the morning. The conductor walks quietly down the aisle, pausing only briefly to check the lamps along the corridor. His uniform is neatly pressed, the dark blue fabric softened with years of service. He nods to you as he passes, the gesture slow and respectful, as though he understands the quiet atmosphere of the carriage and wishes not to disturb it. His presence adds a sense of gentle reassurance, a reminder that the journey is unfolding exactly as it should. The train enters another stretch of forest, thicker now, with tall pines rising behind the birch trees. The evergreens bring darker tones into the landscape, their deep greens creating a soft contrast with the pale trunks nearby. Sunlight filters between the branches, forming shifting patches of brightness on the forest floor. You imagine the scent, cool and resinous, drifting through the woods even as you continue gliding past them. A flock of small birds rises suddenly from the undergrowth, scattering upward in a burst of motion before settling again farther down the line. You let the landscape guide your attention gently from one detail to the next, never rushing, simply observing and drifting. The train crosses a narrow bridge over a quiet river. The water flows in smooth, shallow waves, catching the light in soft silver reflections. Along the banks, patches of tall grass bend under the breeze, moving in long, synchronized sways that mirror the rhythm of the train. You lean back slightly, letting your head rest more fully against the seat, feeling the subtle warmth of the carriage cradle you as the scene shifts. You notice subtle scents in the cabin, soft hints of polished wood and faint traces of coal from the engine carried through the ventilation. The combination feels warm and nostalgic, creating a soothing atmosphere that blends perfectly with the gentle movement around you. Each new sound seems to soften into the background, creating a cocoon of calm that holds you gently as the journey continues. The meadows widen again as the train leaves the denser forest behind. Wooden fences line parts of the landscape, enclosing grazing fields where a few cows stand quietly, their forms outlined against the light. You see a distant hay cart pulled by a single horse, slowly making its way along a narrow track that disappears over a small hill. Everything outside seems to move at an unhurried pace, matching the train's steady rhythm. A second village appears farther along the route, smaller than the first, with only a handful of houses clustered around a central well. A woman in a long coat draws water, her movements slow and deliberate. She pauses to watch the train pass, her face calm, her attention fixed on the long line of carriages sliding by. You imagine how many times she has witnessed this same moment, each train marking the hours and seasons of her life in this quiet part of the world. The landscape opens into broad plains where the grass stretches in soft shades of gold and green. The air outside seems to shimmer slightly as the sun rises higher, but the coolness of early autumn remains in the distance. A thin veil of mist lingering near the tree line. The train moves smoothly through it all, each mile bringing you deeper into the calm flow of the journey. You shift your weight gently, allowing your body to settle more comfortably. Your neck relaxes, your shoulders soften, and your hands rest loosely. The motion beneath you remains steady, a reassuring presence that supports each breath. The carriage feels like a safe and quiet space suspended in time, carrying you gently through the heart of the Russian countryside. A farmstead comes into view, its wooden barns arranged in neat rows. Stacks of chopped wood sit near the entrance, evidence of preparation for the colder months ahead. Chickens wander near the edge of the yard, pecking lightly at the ground. A man in a wool cap stands near a fence post, watching the train with a calm and thoughtful expression. His dog sits beside him, tail still, eyes following the movement of the carriages. The railway was designed to support these rural communities, connecting them to larger cities and markets. You think about the early engineers who surveyed these lands, working through forests, rivers, and hills to chart the route that would become one of the longest in the world. Their efforts still echo in every mile you travel now, linking this quiet countryside to the distant horizons of the east. The train enters another forest, this one darker and more dense, the trees growing closer together. The sun creates stripes of light across the trunks, forming patterns that slide past your window in slow, mesmerizing waves. You follow the patterns with your eyes, feeling yourself drawn deeper into a quiet, peaceful focus. The rhythm of the ride continues beneath everything, always steady, always soft. You take another slow breath, letting it fill your lungs before releasing it gently. The warmth of the carriage feels heavier now, soothing you, inviting you to sink deeper into this moment. The world outside remains cool and crisp, but you are wrapped in comfort, gliding smoothly through the landscape as the morning stretches onward. The forest thins again, revealing a wide bend in the river far below. The water moves in graceful curves, catching glimmers of sunlight along its surface. The train follows the river's path for several minutes, offering a long, uninterrupted view of the currents and the distant hills beyond. Everything feels gentle and unhurried, an unfolding journey that carries you without effort. A final cluster of birch trees rises ahead, their leaves glowing softly in shades of gold and pale green. The breeze moves through them in waves, creating a shimmering effect that feels almost like a quiet greeting. You watch them pass, and you feel a sense of calm recognition, as if the landscape itself welcomes you into its peaceful rhythm. The train continues on, steady and smooth, the world outside shifting in slow and graceful patterns as you drift deeper into relaxation. The train continues its calm ascent through the early ridges, and you feel the gentle pull as the locomotive settles into a firmer rhythm, each turn of the wheels steady and sure. The landscape begins to rise around you, and the first true slopes of the Ural foothills come into view, soft at first, then gradually shaping into long waves of forest and stone. You breathe slowly as the carriage sways, feeling the motion spread warmth along your arms and shoulders. The air inside the compartment grows a touch cooler, touched by the changing altitude and the quiet drift of autumn wind that slips along the edges of the train as it moves. You look outside and see birch trunks standing closer together now, their pale bark glowing against the deeper tones of spruce. The leaves shimmer with muted gold, and the light plays gently across the forest floor. The earth becomes more uneven, scattered with ridges and hollows shaped by centuries of slow geological movement. You notice how the color of the soil darkens as the train climbs. A soft memory rises in the back of your mind about how the Ural Mountains have long been known as the natural boundary between Europe and Asia. And as you watch the terrain shift, you feel that subtle transition in your body, as though the world is changing just beyond the glass. The rhythm of the wheels repeats like a quiet mantra, steady and grounding, letting your breath follow along in an easy, calming cadence. You allow your body to soften against the seat, feeling the slow release of tension in your spine. The early afternoon light filters through thin clouds, leaving the world tinted in soft grey and pale amber. You feel yourself sinking into the gentle repetition of movement, letting it settle your thoughts like leaves drifting to the ground. The train curves along a hillside, and the view opens to a broad valley cut by a winding river, its surface reflecting hints of sky. Wooden houses appear near the riverbanks, thin smoke rising from chimneys as quiet villages tend to their afternoon routines. Children chase each other across dirt paths, and in the distance a cart pulled by two small horses moves slowly toward a cluster of storage sheds. You sense a calm simplicity in these scenes, a rhythm of life that has continued in similar patterns for generations. As the train passes another bend, the trees widen, revealing rolling slopes covered in low grasses and early autumn shrubs. The wind pushes gently across the open spaces, carrying the scent of distant pine. You notice how your breathing deepens naturally as the landscape widens, creating more space within your own thoughts. The sway of the train becomes almost hypnotic, and you feel yourself drifting deeper into the soothing pace of the journey. The historical presence of these foothills lingers quietly in your awareness. The early Trans-Siberian Railway engineers worked through terrain like this in the 1890s, carving paths along rugged slopes and deep ravines. You imagine workers standing along the rising ground, laying tracks that would become part of one of the longest railway lines in the world. The knowledge of their efforts feels woven into the movement of the train, giving each mile a sense of continuity and purpose. You allow this thought to settle gently as the train eases into a long stretch of forest. The birches thin out and taller pines rise along both sides, their dark needles catching the muted light. The trunks stand in thick clusters, creating a quiet tunnel that the train slips through with steady grace. The sound of the wheels deepens slightly as they pass over a section of reinforced track, and you notice how the tone of the carriage shifts, becoming mellow and low. It soothes you even more, helping your mind drift into calmer spaces. The train climbs a gentle incline. The change is subtle but perceptible, and you find yourself leaning back as your legs loosen, letting the rhythm of ascent settle into your muscles. The air inside feels cooler again, and you pull the small wool blanket on your lap a little higher, feeling the comfort of warmth spreading through your chest and shoulders. The landscape outside grows more textured, dotted with exposed stone and fragments of mountain rock pushed forward by centuries of slow uplift. The train enters a wide clearing where the forest breaks apart and the sky stretches above in a soft sheet of pale blue. You see faint ridgelines in the distance, rising higher than the ones you have already crossed, their shapes softened by a veil of cool mist. The autumn colors appear more subdued here, tinged with silvery light. A small herd of cattle grazes near a wooden fence, their slow movements blending naturally with the peaceful atmosphere of the afternoon. The rhythmic clicking of the wheels becomes slower for a moment, and you feel the train shift into a more measured pace as it glides across a long wooden bridge. Beneath the bridge, a fast-moving river flows between dark stones, the water flashing with glints of sunlight. You listen to the subtle change in sound as the train crosses, the wooden structure adding a soft, hollow echo beneath the usual rhythm. Your breathing naturally follows the tempo, slow and calm. On the far side of the bridge, the land rises again, leading the train into another deep patch of forest. Here the trees grow close and tall, their branches forming layered canopies that mute the daylight. The shadows deepen, shaping pockets of cool stillness that drift across your vision. The train moves smoothly through this shade, almost gliding, the motion steady and even. You allow your shoulders to relax once more, letting the darkness of the forest create a gentle cocoon around your thoughts. A small remote station appears unexpectedly on the left, marked by a simple wooden platform and a single lantern hanging beside a post. No passengers wait there this afternoon, and the station sits quietly as the train passes. Its presence feels like a small reminder of the long distance traveled by those who used this route in earlier days, when travel across these regions was slower, more uncertain, and deeply reliant on these rural stops. The memory of that history settles softly around you, adding depth to the journey. The forest gradually opens again, revealing the approach to the higher foothills. The terrain becomes rockier, the slopes steeper, and the trees smaller as they cling to the rising ground. The air inside the carriage feels lighter, carrying a cool hint of mineral scent. You notice how the sky begins to broaden, with clouds moving slowly above like thin pulled wool. Your breathing deepens again, matched to the smooth repetition of the wheels. As the train climbs further, the view widens into a sweeping panorama of layered ridges, each one fading slightly behind the next. The colors become blended and soft, a mix of blue-gray stone and aged autumn greens. The quiet grandeur of the foothills spreads outward in every direction, and you feel your body responding with a sense of calm expansion, as though your thoughts drift outward with the landscape. The historical significance of the Ural Mountains settles quietly into your awareness again. This region marked the symbolic meeting point of two continents, and travelers crossing it often described a sense of transition, not only in geography, but in mood. You feel a faint echo of that sentiment now, a gentle awareness of crossing into a broader world, even as the train keeps its steady, soothing pace. The rails straighten as the climb evens out, and the train glides into softer terrain. You pass open meadows with scattered farmhouses, their roofs painted in dark green and faded red. Chickens wander near a small wooden shed, and a shepherd walks slowly across a wide field, a thick coat wrapped around his shoulders as he follows a small flock of sheep. The simplicity of these scenes adds another layer of calm to the journey, and you feel the gentle pull of relaxation settling deeply into your muscles. A long stretch of open land appears, dotted with early autumn wildflowers and low shrubs. The wind brushes across the field in slow waves, creating patterns of movement that ripple like water. The train moves through this peaceful expanse, its rhythm steady and familiar. You allow your mind to drift with the patterns, feeling each sway of the carriage guide you into a deeper state of rest. Gradually, the land begins to slope downward, signaling the beginning of the descent toward Yekaterinburg. The ridges soften, the forests thin, and the air grows milder. You sense a gentle shift in the mood of the journey, like the easing of a long breath. The afternoon light grows warmer, casting soft amber tones across the horizon. You settle more fully into the seat, letting your arms and legs loosen completely as the train continues its calm, unhurried glide through the foothills. The sky begins to show the first hints of evening, and the world outside grows even quieter. The last birch groves stand along the slopes, their leaves flickering softly in the changing light. The train maintains its smooth pace, and you feel the subtle promise of approaching rest as the track draws nearer to the city. The motion becomes softer, the sounds deeper and slower, guiding your thoughts into calm stillness as the foothills ease away behind you and the land opens toward the gentle glow of the coming twilight. The soft glow of the late afternoon begins to shift toward a deeper amber, and you sense the subtle change in the mood of the train as the foothills recede behind you. The light stretches gently across the windows, painting the interior of the carriage with warm, settling tones. You breathe slowly, feeling your chest rise and fall in an easy rhythm, while the train continues its calm glide along the smoother land that leads toward Yekaterinburg. The world outside grows quieter, touched by the first hints of evening stillness. You notice how the forests thin and the land opens into wide plains dotted with small clusters of homes. Smoke rises from the chimneys in soft spirals, drifting lazily into the amber sky. The rooftops glow faintly in the evening light, their colors soften to gentle browns and warm reds. Farmers guide their last animals of the day toward wooden pens, moving slowly with the unhurried pace of dusk. You let your shoulders relax fully, feeling that same unhurried calm settle into your body. The train slows slightly as it approaches a set of gentle curves, the wheels humming in a steady, soothing pattern beneath you. The rooftops of nearby villages appear closer now, hinting at the outskirts of the city waiting ahead. You hear the faint, distant echo of a bell from a small church as it carries across the open space with a peaceful, lingering note. The air in the carriage takes on the coolness of early evening, fresh and crisp, encouraging you to pull the blanket once more around your lap. A sense of transition flows through the landscape, the final stage of the journey unfolding with quiet grace. This region became more significant in the early 1900s as Yekaterinburg grew into a major industrial and cultural center along the railway. The knowledge settles softly into your thoughts, woven naturally into the gentle movement of the carriage as it glides through the fading light. You imagine early travelers watching similar sunsets, their journeys marked by the same steady rhythm of the rails. The forests return in brief stretches, darker now as shadows collect beneath the trees. The evening wind moves through the branches, shaking the last golden leaves in soft, trembling motions. The sky deepens into shades of rose and muted violet, the colors reflecting gently along the surface of small ponds scattered near the track. Each reflection sways lightly as the wind ripples across the water, creating calming patterns that ease you deeper into relaxation. You close your eyes for a brief moment and listen. The wheels create a soothing cadence, soft and balanced, guiding your breath into a slow and restful tempo. The carriage rocks in a gentle, rhythmic sway, and each movement helps your thoughts drift warmly into the softness of evening. When you open your eyes again, the sky has deepened further, and a soft band of amber rests along the horizon like the last warm whisper of the day. The outskirts of Yekaterinburg begin to appear in the distance, their shapes softened by the fading light. Low wooden houses line the edges of small fields, and lanterns glow softly near doorways. The lights flicker gently as the train passes, each one warm and inviting. You imagine families settling into quiet routines, preparing for the night as the calm of dusk spreads across the city. The train continues at its slower pace, the rails humming with a deeper, more mellow tone as the locomotive prepares for arrival. Larger buildings appear gradually, spaced between tree-lined streets and wide-open courtyards. The amber light spills across their windows, creating soft highlights that shimmer in the early evening breeze. The city feels peaceful, not hurried, welcoming you with a quiet sense of comfort. You lean back slightly, allowing your head to rest comfortably as the carriage sways. Your breathing slows even more, each inhale smooth and unforced, each exhale long and warm. The gentle fatigue of a calm day spreads through your limbs, leaving your body relaxed and open to rest. The slow approach toward the station feels like the natural settling of the journey, a gradual easing into stillness. The wheels shift in tone as the train enters the broader tracks leading toward the main station. The sound becomes slightly deeper, resonant, reflecting the sturdier construction beneath. Soft lanterns line the approach, their lights glowing like small stars guiding the way forward. The amber sky fades into pale lavender and early blue, blending into the growing night. As the train rounds a final curve, you see the first lamps of the Yekaterinburg station ahead, their soft golden glow drifting across the platform. Shadows move gently as workers prepare for the incoming arrival, their motions slow and rhythmic. The station building stands tall against the twilight, its early 20th century architecture shaped with clean lines and elegant simplicity. The windows glow warmly from within, offering a sense of welcome that settles deeper into your chest. The train eases into a final gentle deceleration, slowing with smooth, even pressure. You feel the shift beneath your feet, subtle and reassuring, as though the carriage itself is taking a slow, measured breath. The rhythm softens, each sound elongating into a restful cadence. Your eyes grow heavier as the scene outside grows warm and still, the lights reflecting softly on the polished metal of the train. The last trees along the tracks fade into shadow as the train slides into the well-lit station. A few passengers stand quietly on the platform, wrapped in early autumn coats, their breath rising in small clouds against the cooling air. The amber lamps cast soft halos around their shapes, adding a peaceful glow to the moment. The train coasts slowly forward, the wheels releasing a final quiet sigh as the motion settles into stillness. You sit comfortably, breathing deeply. The lights of Yekaterinburg shimmer softly through the window, and the calm hush of evening wraps around you with steady warmth. The foothills lie far behind now, the day's journey complete, guiding you toward peace as the night unfolds around the quiet station. As this gentle journey draws to its peaceful close, you feel the quiet of the evening settling softly around you while the train rests beside the platform. The rhythmic sounds that carried you across the foothills have faded into a mild hush, leaving only a warm memory of their steady cadence. Your breathing has slowed to match this calmer pace. Each inhale smooth and cool, each exhale long and comforting. guiding your body into deeper rest. The lights of Yekaterinburg glow softly through the window, their golden reflections stretching across the polished wood and brass details of the carriage. The air feels still and pleasant, filled with the warmth that lingers after a long, unhurried day of travel. You let your shoulders sink even further, releasing the last bits of tension, allowing your arms and legs to settle into a natural, comfortable heaviness. Outside, the evening sky has deepened into a quiet blue, and the first faint stars begin to shimmer above the distant rooftops. The scene feels suspended in calm, holding you in a safe and restful moment. You let your eyes drift closed, picturing the gentle sway of the train earlier in the journey, the way the wheels created that soft and soothing rhythm beneath you. The memory settles warmly in your thoughts, guiding you towards stillness. Your breath moves slowly now, steady and soft, like the quiet pulse of the rails after the locomotive has stopped for the night. Each breath carries you deeper into tranquility, inviting your mind to loosen its grip on the day. The peaceful glow of the station fades in your imagination, replaced by the comforting darkness of rest, warm and quiet. Like the interior of a carriage settling into night, you feel supported, calm, and ready to drift. The journey has brought you here gently, step by step. Sweet dreams and good night.